All right, guys, welcome back to episode 80 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. And we have some guests that are coming onto the solo episode today by the names of Clark and Lily. And you can probably hear them right now in the background. For most of the podcast, they were doing this. And it actually goes so well with the subject matter we're talking about today is about the shit shows and about our spiritual evolution and how it's messy and how there is no perfect energy. There is no perfectness. There isn't anything that's aligned in a certain cookie cutter way, because each of us is unique in our vibrational rhythm, and each of us has this stuff happening in our life. And maybe it's not 9-week-old puppies, but it's something else. Hey, stop playing with that cord. It's something else, right? What is it for you? Somewhere in your life right now, maybe you're pushing up against something that needs to be embraced and brought in instead of pushing. Feel into this as we move through this experience together in episode 80 of the Light Warriors Unleashed podcast. All right, guys. I am calling this podcast episode The Beautiful Shit Show for a reason. Because as I'm recording this right here, right now, there's a disaster happening in this place. The puppies are loose. They've already knocked over the ring light twice when I went to go record. You can probably hear them right now over top of my voice as I'm going to record this. But this is the time and space I have to step in, to lean into this episode. And I decided that I was going to roll with the punches and honor whatever came through and however it's going to show up to talk about the shit storms and the shit shows and the real and rawness of living life. Because this is life right now. This is life for me. I have chosen this pathway of taking on some puppies that are super young and exuberant and all in for living life, including wrestling with each other and conversing with each other and doing their things. Now, granted, it's amazing that they're just chasing each other, because some days they are eating wires, they're trying to do other things inside of this space. So I am just grateful that this is happening right now in this moment. I want to chat with you guys a little bit about the spiritual evolution. And just take a moment to honor what's happening in my field at this moment of time. And it wouldn't have mattered if I were to record this later, because this probably would have happened anyways. So I am just so flowing with this energy field. And this is actually a perfect representation of nothing ever being perfect, and us thinking that things can be perfect and that they have to be perfect for us to move through and evolve into life. I have chosen to bring on these puppies into my field, 2 of them. Now, some mornings I'm like, why did I make this decision? But I know over time, everything will play out, just like our spiritual evolution. Sometimes at the beginning, it's a shit show and it doesn't feel good. And it's not aligned. It's not peaceful. It's not perfect. It's not in its landscape. It is just a shit show. And it's dark and it's mysterious and it's asking us to have courage and it's asking us to fix the ring light again. And it's asking us to still step forward in this beautiful energy of expansion that is gifted to us because we are human. And it's never perfect, and it's never in its landscape scope, and it's never going to be perfect, ever. It's never going to be perfect. It's never going to feel like this juicy, just right energy until you allow yourself to surrender into this juicy, just right energy. I have the availability to ignore these puppies for at least short periods of time. And I have the availability to step into the space to see it for what it is, right? And as much as that's a gift of mine, I also am a human in this dynamic experience, and I also go through my own things in this dynamic experience. When we are expanding and when we are desiring growth and when we are really stepping into the space of actually living the life we desire, it's going to take some shit shows. It's going to take some courage. It's going to take some bold move. It's going to take some dynamic energy. It's going to take a willingness to go into the depths of the storm, a willingness to go look, to go see, to go feel, to go dive into ourselves in this beautiful expanded connection. And it's going to take some days us wrestling with our duality. And it's going to take some days us playing in the field of possibility. And it's going to take some days of us really, really holding space in our truth. And I think this is one of the hardest dynamics of this whole entire thing is we can't see it until we move within it. We don't know for sure until we move within it. A lot of people in our lives are not doing it until we start moving within it. And then we find people that are in the space with us. And it takes a lot for us to move through, because sometimes us dealing with our shit, some days it's easier than others. But most of the time, it's like this fucking shit show. And it is like a disgrace, and it is like a disaster, and it is like destroying on our spirit, in our souls, on our heart. But when we lead in our truth, we know that we're meant to go through that in order to expand out the other side. It's really funny. I was on a coaching call today with one of my coaches in a specific program that I'm a part of. And he says to us today that part of our brand in the world, no matter what it is disrupting the boat. And I can take that multiple ways, because I'm a disruptor, and this is what I do in life, and this is how I move through life, and this is how I operate in life, is disrupting energy. I disrupt conformity. I disrupt infrastructures that are no longer serving us. Maybe they've never served us. I am an advocate for power and truth, and literally I step into that consistently all the time, but it takes dismantling of these infrastructures to actually hold it, to be within it. And most of you listening to this podcast right now are fucking shit scared of disrupting the boat, of moving the boat, of like changing in life. And you know it to be true, because the second I say that to you, you get like a lump in your throat. And you're like, oh my God, yeah. I thrive in environments where I can disrupt the boat. And I have only been surface leveling my disruption in public forum. And I know that because I had this conversation with myself today, and I'm like, fuck, you are so right, Colleen. You are so right. Like I do speak truth. I do step in, but it's not to the potency of what I can be creating, because there's still a part of me that's like, oh, can I really? And some of you may be in the exact same like boat as me. Can I really? Can I really call out some of the spiritual people doing this work in the world for the lack of integrity that they hold? Can I really call out the like systems that are fucking influencing people right now, where they're in Lemmingville fucking walking around without even a conscious awareness as to what they're even saying yes to? Can I step into that? And I would do that every single day of the week around a campfire, when I'm with my peeps, and all the time. People know where I sit and stand. They don't even have to ask me. They just know. But can I do it in open forum, to the potency of what's showing up in my field, to disrupt the truth people think they're living in that isn't actually their truth? And it's going to be triggering, and a lot of people are not going to like me. And I'm okay with that, because I already am seeing the infrastructure collapse around me. But it's going to take some grit, and it will become a shit show at first, unless I stay really rooted and grounded in my conviction of who I am as a person. That after 7 minutes of recording, the puppies are quiet down now, because they know mommy's on a call, and then they'll rile up again once I'm done. But staying the course for the first 6 minutes of this podcast and holding space for all the craziness happening, it's like a representation of our lives. A representation of, if we just stay the course, if we just grit in, if we just have the courage for a little bit longer, things will break. Now, they're not entirely sleeping. I think that they found something that's intriguing them, and they're just not running around. Excuse me. Well, there's the truth, after each other anymore. But this is a representation of our life. Of our life. We come up against obstacles. We come up against challenges. We come up against abilities for us to respond. It's part of the whole mechanism of the earth experience, and us moving through this earth experience of stepping into the space to be able to hold all of this energy and the power of our truth, and really step into that, to embody it, to bring it into the body, to be like, this is me. This is me. And my spiritual evolution is fucking messy, and it's not on point. And some days it fucking sucks, and other days it's this blissful experience. And it's all of the things. It's all of the things. It's the shit show and the peace. It's the joy and the crumbling of life, right? It's the fucking hitting rock bottom and soaring through this beautiful desire. It's all of the things. But sometimes we get so stuck in our box thinking it has to be a certain way, when it's fucking messy. And you know what? A long time ago, we were taught we had to color within the lines. And if you actually think about this, when you teach a child to color within the lines, you are teaching them to obey the rules. Don't color outside the lines. You can't do that. The rule is you have to color within the lines. Spiritual evolution is the messy part of coloring. It's not in between the lines. It's not a picture perfect conversation. It's not like this super delicious flow, although it becomes that later once you've integrated because you can see life differently. But until you do the work, you're not fucking seeing it that way. And it's this beautiful area for us to expand into and be human in our spirit and own the dimensions to us and own the fucked up feelings and own the addiction and step into the space to make a choice to own all of us. And I'm not saying you need to keep up with your addiction. I'm not saying that you need to drop into the shadow side, but most of you are running away from all of these things instead of working through it and bringing it up and owning the fact that this is a part of you. And part of the fucking shitstorm is doing that. Over the last month and a bit, I have been through knee-deep experiences within my own space, within my own evolution, within my own next levels. And it's been trying at times and it sucked. You know, I finally feel like I've recalibrated a little bit. But I got 3 more weeks still before I'm into a space that is in alignment. And it's been interesting, to say the least. It's been an interesting journey, an interesting process, an interesting evolution. And I look at it from this point of view of going, okay, firstly, I created it all because I'm a conscious creator, just like all of you are. So every single thing that happened in my field was me. I created it. So if that's truth, which it is truth, okay. So if I created it, I can uncreate it, or I can create something new, which is the truth. And how do I potently align in that worth? How do I potently align in that space of taking that ownership and really being with it? And part of my protocols right now is in that. How do I answer this text message in my power? How do I take back my power from people that are trying to fucking take it from me and that are stepping into a space that they don't have any clue about who the fuck I really am? And I've never shown them these cards, and it's now time to show them purity of this power. And every single one of you has it. It doesn't have to be in the detriment because you've learned it through a shitty experience. It can be in your beautiful choice of life right now. And you making a choice today to pull it out, to no longer sacrifice yourself, to no longer be in this diminishment, to no longer, subdue yourself to this toxicity environment or whatever it is. Every single one of us is on our pathway, playing a role, moving through, maneuvering through stuff. And that's the truth, right? Each single one of us. I don't know where you're at. I don't know what you're dealing with. I don't know what goes through your mind every day. I don't know. But here's what I do know. That when there's a problem, there is a solution, because we live in the diversity world of duality. And that is an imprint on the earth experience. That is a thing on the earth experience. That is truth in the earth experience. And when we start to lean with this and start to play with this, we get to then create with this, right? We then get to create in this movement of energy. We then get to maneuver through this movement of energy. We then get to be in this movement of energy. And it's a potent place to be. So, shitstorms are going to happen. Dogs are going to wake back up and fucking start wrestling again. And they're going to move through an energy. And maybe every 3 hours, you're going to have to wake up to take them out to go pee. And maybe, they're going to have to take them everywhere and your schedule is going to change. And maybe you missed the gym today, but you do an at-home workout with yoga because of the fact that you couldn't get to the gym because no one could watch the puppies. And right now where I am, someone needs to watch them. Maybe. And maybe your life is totally different than mine. And something about this podcast today reminded you of something that you are stepping into, that you are desiring to change, that you are working within. I don't know what it is. And my job is to speak the messages into the world that are coming through. And this was one. In the purest form of light. In this beautiful embodied energy. In this next levels of frequencies. And I could fucking go on in connection with that, right? So how in your life right now can you honor all the parts of you? Can you honor the dynamics, the challenges, the movement, and stop stressing about it and start dropping into a choice around it? How can you choose to hold your power still inside of that space? How can you choose to still step into the things that you want, even when it doesn't look like it can happen? Because that's another thing. Distortion is real, my friends. and it's coming in hot, and it's blocking a lot of people right now because they're sacrificing themselves and making a choice to surrender into the wrong areas. Start living your truth. Start feeling into your truth. Start working within your truth. And when you do that, your truth will continue to open up and expand, and then you get to play. And then when the play starts to kind of gets juicy, and it doesn't mean you have to adopt puppies. However, maybe you do. So that's the message on my heart today. I hope you guys held it in the safe space that you desire to put it into. And I hope it landed in some way, shape, or form for some of you. Wherever you needed it, it was here today. So sending you guys out lots of love, lots of light, lots of beautiful vibes. Goodbye from me and the crazy puppies. And we'll see you guys all again in the next episode.